Hi, and welcome to another video of the Target Individual Program, the Target Individual Experience. Today is Tuesday, February 27th. So it's been about a week since I did my last video, and the kids had last week off as it was winter break. So I was unable to, compile my videos and do a video. So I decided I was going to do that after the kids go back to school. Now, that didn't mean that I wasn't targeted. Okay, so if I don't do a video in a week, that doesn't mean that my target will stop. It doesn't. Okay, it just means that I was busy, tired, and sometimes you just need a break. So I'm going to pick up from where I left off in my last video, where this was Friday, as I was picking my daughter up from school. I believe it was, I'm sorry, not last Friday, but the previous Friday. Okay. And so at the end of the previous video, I showed as I was leaving my daughter's school, the police car.
Again.
The woman. Again, with the hand signal, whatever she's showing me there, the police car parked in the. I mean, look at how they're parked. Okay, let me go back. Look at how they're parked. Right? There's no police inside the vehicle. Now, this is a point that I should have made in the previous video, but they do this a lot when they want to target me in a particular manner, but the officers don't want to show their face. Okay, they don't want to be caught on camera participating in the harassment. Okay, so they'll just park up their police car and leave, or sometimes they'll park up the police car, their police doors are wide open. Okay, so made it back to the house, and within a few minutes I started to hear not police sirens, but fire truck sirens. Okay, and they were out there for about a good few minutes, and so I was like, let me go and see what it is that they're doing, because I know they're there to target me, because the way how they came on the block with the sirens on, and it wasn't like if they were responding to an emergency. Okay, and I can tell. So I got to the window, and they block off the street. They're all standing on the sidewalk. Okay, now because they saw me, well, I should say, but they knew that I was looking at them, because immediately as I went to the window, this fighter, he walks into the yard of this building. He picks up a garbage can, right? This guy looks up at me. He really looked up. He really looked at me, because they knew, when you're under surveillance, they know what you're doing. Okay, so he comes out. He takes the garbage can and he puts it to the front of the yard. Okay, he takes it from here and he puts it right there. Now, what emergency? What? Just to move a friggin' garbage can? That's the emergency? So now the perp that live in this building, because there's two, there's one here and one here. He comes out, remember I talk about color coordinated, you're wearing white. You can see the white speck right here. Okay. Now, hey, he takes the garbage can. Actually, you see it better here. Looks back. Another firefighter comes out. You can see them better now. Both wearing white shirts. Okay. Again, it's been the message. So anyway, left later on. Brought the kids to my house. My eldest had came down. He took the train, and we spend the week, just having a little fun, what have you. That entire week, they were microwaving the apartment, microwaving my kids, microwaving me, with, with the mind control technology, getting my kids to target me in a manner in which they have conditioned them to through the technology, through the use of the mind control technology. So we talk about synchronization. We're talking about constantly sticking their fingers in their ears as they see me or if I'm walking towards them. Family members wearing certain particular color, they would wear a lot of it, particularly the color black. So it's like every outfit that they had on was black, right? And so now, yesterday, which was Monday, the 26th, I went to physical therapy. Actually, let me go back. On top of all of that, over the weekend, they hacked into my phone. Okay, so on Friday, I was having a conversation with the kid's mom, with Pam, and I sent her a text saying that I'm taking a listen I took a listen to the doctor, and she had an ear infection, and I have to go pick up her prescription. So over the weekend, this happened Saturday. Okay, now I wasn't in the text because on Saturday I was on Facebook on my phone, and so my text window was closed. I had closed everything out on Friday, and I was just on Facebook on Saturday. So Sunday when I woke up, I went to my phone, and as soon as I unlocked my screen, it went straight into the text. Okay, let me bring that up. This text. Okay, and actually, let me close this. I actually want to open it from here. Okay, right here. All right. So, actually, this was Wednesday. I took her to the doctor, not Friday. My mistake. So over the weekend, so Saturday, like I said, I unlocked my phone and it went straight into this text message. And let me. And so this was typed here, okay, on my phone. They hacked it. I did not type this. It was VCard. Now, immediately when I saw this, I knew what type of subliminal message they were trying to send me. Because during the week, whenever I use my bank card, they would send me subliminal message that they were going to hack into my bank card and, I guess, take my money from my bank account. And so this is a repeated message that they constantly do. Okay? And I was like, okay. So I grabbed a screenshot. And because I knew somewhere down the line, they was going to target me in a way that's going to relate to this subliminal message that they're sending me. Okay? So, Monday, as I was leaving my physical therapy session, so I'm driving to go back to the apartment, to her apartment. Okay, let me just speed up this. So, I'm approaching this vehicle now. Okay? Now, remember, this is all about synchronization. Right now, I'm being microwaved, the remote neural monitoring at the same time. Okay? And everything is pre-planned. So, remember the subliminal message I talk about with them trying to say about my bank card. Right? Pull up behind this vehicle, license plate number 23329. Now, see the number 32 in there? That particular number that I talk about that's constantly being used in my targeting, it's a trigger. All right? And so here you have the Visa MasterCard logo on here. All right? So, because I've been conditioned a particular way, in a particular manner, neurolinguistic programming, the way how they target me and the way how they send me subliminal message, I'm able to decipher a lot of the subliminal message. Some of it I may be right, some of it I may be wrong. I'm just giving you my interpretation. All right? So, again, in conjunction, subliminal messages. Okay, so let me speed up this video. Okay, so I got parking and that's it. All right, so that was yesterday. So went to pick up the kids. And again, you know, the harassment, the police. I was walking to pick up my son, and as I crossed over the street to walk past the high school, which is Erasmus High School on Bedford Avenue in Flatbush, there was a police car that was coming in the opposite direction. Now, that police car, you know, had the lights flashing, no sirens, okay? Slowly drove into the gas station that's across the school. Okay? And, you know, I was like, okay, whatever. So, picked up my son, and I was walking back up Bedford, this time on the opposite side of the street, walking towards the gas station to turn on to, I forgot the name of the street, to go to my daughter's school. As I approached the gas station, the same police car, lights flashing, drove on the sidewalk going towards Church Avenue and parked in front of, there's a medical building that's recently built, you know, probably within the last 2 years it was built there. And so I noticed that when I was walking to take my to go and pick up my son from his school, there were perps that was walking towards me. And as they were walking towards me, they were constantly looking over at the medical building and looking at me. Okay? Now, this has to do with the fact that I no longer go to see the psychiatrist that I used to see, because he has been compromised. They were using him to target me in to send me subliminal message and stuff like that. And every time he would do these subliminal messages, they were like sirens going off, whether it be police sirens or fire trucks or ambulance. But it was a constant barrage of noise. Okay, so I stopped going to see him, and I was looking for another psychiatrist, but I really haven't had the time to sit down because I want to be able to talk with them on the phone, explain to them what I know is happening to me, see if they know what a coercive persuasion program is, because the last psychiatrist that I was seeing, when I asked him, does he know what a coercive persuasion program is, he told me no. And that should have been a red flag. But I went anyway in the sake of research, right? Research in terms of me understanding how psychiatrists are used in these kind of programs to kind of cover the perpetrators of these programs, to see if these psychiatrists would really go along in harming another human being. Okay, and again, because they're harming you psychologically, is always on you to prove that this is what they're doing, and it's not the diagnosis, the mental illness diagnosis that they give you or that they label you with, right? So anyway, I think, they, like the perps, and again, these perps are the same people who target you negatively. So when you think that they're trying to give you help, don't believe that. It is not any kind of help. It's some type of subliminal message they're trying to send you, and it's not to help you. So if you're thinking that it's to help you, you're wrong, right? So anyway, like I said, I was walking my son back. We were going to pick up my daughter, and the police vehicle, again, lights flashing, slowly driving on the sidewalk, stopped in front of that medical building. So picked up my daughter, and I was walking back, and I just reading the signs on the window of that medical building, and in there, I guess they do have psychiatrists in there because they had behavioral therapy or stuff like that, whatever that is. And so again, I think they was, they were sending me a threat that if I go to speak to a psychiatrist, then I'll be arrested by the police, right? That's how I took it. Because, again, the whole action with the police vehicle, as I was approaching to cross the street, the police vehicle driving on the sidewalk. Now, they could have, because they were parked in a gas station, so they could have just went out in the street. But to drive on the sidewalk, to stop in front of the medical building, and then drove onto Church Avenue, there are people walking on the sidewalk. So clearly they don't give a shit about people's safety. So when they want to tell these perps that the reason why we're doing this to these people because of safety, national safety, whether it be community safety or whatever, it's all bullshit. Okay? And people should understand it and realize that. You look at the shit that they do. Okay? They're not about safety. This is about experimentation. This is about TIs like myself speaking out, exposing what it is that's being done, and this is their form of retaliation. Okay? So, Monday went for therapy. Tuesday now, as I am leaving my apartment in the morning, because last night they were microwaving us at Pam's apartment, and it got so bad that I was like, you know what, I can feel the tension, let me leave. Okay? Because she kept coming back and forth in the living room, a highly unusual amount of times, and when she comes in, she's not coming to check to see how the kids are doing or what the kids are doing. She's coming in there because they're trying to send me a subliminal message. And again, I'll talk about this, but I'll let the video play because there's some things that I need to explain. Got in the car. Tell you, they are really stepping it up. As soon as I left the house, black Mercedes. Got in the car. Who comes up? Parked in front. Black Mercedes. License plate HWZ 7324. Alright. So they got that number again. Alright. HWZ. Let me go back. Parked in front. Black Mercedes. License plate HWZ 7324. 7324. Now what's the middle number? 32. Okay. Now, as I pull out of the parking space, the Mercedes behind me is going to blow his horn. Or whoever is driving is going to blow the horn. Excuse me. I had to get out of the camera view because a certain parts of my face was itching. Did you hear it? Let me. Right there. Okay. As I pull in the parking space, blows his horn. Okay. Now, let me speed this up. Now we get to the synchronization with the police vehicle. Alright, maybe they're gonna buy the app. Let me know what I thought I had the radio on. There you go. Now the police was doing a hand signal as they turned the corner, but it was out of view of the phone camera that I have mounted. So the slow turn in, okay, synchronization. Again, this is what is called synchronization. Every time they use him to target me in such a way that's very blatant and very, I would say, aggressively, very blatant and very aggressively, I leave just to avoid that situation. I go home and then I head back the next day, okay? They will bombard me with police vehicles like that. And it's all and it's every time they do this. It's never it's the same thing over and over again. Okay? Every few weeks they will target me heavily, and then they will use her. Well, put it like this: we will be microwaved. They will microwave us in terms of with the mind control technology, and so they will have my children targeting me. They'll have her targeting me in a very aggressive manner, and I just leave to avoid that situation. Because I know where it's going to end up. It's going to end up into being a big argument, and come out the next day, and they'll always have a police vehicle, okay, either following me or, as you see there, as I'm approaching the stoplight,
the police vehicle turning, and the police officer was doing hand signals, but he did it out of view of the camera, so you couldn't see. So as they were turning and as they went turn onto the opposite direction, he was doing hand signals. So again, you know, this is a tactic that they use, and I think they do it to as a show of, well, we're watching you, so if you do anything to Pam or your kids, which I will never do, because I'm not one of those people out there who the technology is being used on, and I'm thinking that my children are possessed or what have you, and all this other stuff to make you harm your children or harm your significant other and those around you. You have to understand, what is really happening. Okay? So they do stuff like that. But the thing is, and here's the ridiculousness of it all, right? Because there are people who the technology is being used on, the mind control technology, okay, who are in this coercive persuasion technology, who do end up harming other people, themselves, or their children, right? And I'm sure they're experiencing the same level of harassment by the police, but they still harm other people anyway. Okay, so again, the police want to make the perps believe that they have this false sense of protection. Okay, this false sense of safety, right? When they are the ones that are creating, the violence. They're the ones that are creating the situation in which people turn on other people and harm them. Okay, they are the ones that's doing this. So it's like, they're they're the creator of the violence, and then they come in and try to act as if they're the savior. You see how that works? They are the perpetrators of violence, and yet they come in and act like they are the savior. I mean, that's the conditioning in which they have, people, and particularly people of color, okay, who time and time again are locked up in jail or killed by police officers because the police bring in drugs in the community along with the security agencies, the CIA, the FBI, all right? Then they make these big drug busts. They take the money and they buy, military equipment. They keep some of the money in their pockets, okay? They create conditions. So they create a condition in which they make people believe that, the police is going to save us. Meanwhile, they're killing us left and right, but yet we're looking to be saved by the same people who are killing us. I mean, that's the irony. And that's what, people of color in this country can't seem to get, okay? It's like you believing in the system that's killing you, okay? I mean, how idiotic and moronic is that? I mean, me as a TI, why would I believe that the people who are doing this to me are trying to help me? Why would I believe that? And if you're a TI, you believe that, then you're a fool. Okay? Because one of the things that they love to do is play good cop, bad cop. All right? Remember, these people are two sides of the same coin. So after they traumatize you, after they experiment on you, then they have another scenario in which they make you think or believe that there are other people out there trying to help you. Okay? But that's just to make you believe that so when they start to try to reverse the psychological the negative psychological effect, the psychological damage that they've done to your mind, to try and rebuild your confidence. Okay, so that they can then come and say, well, look, we've psychologically damaged this individual, but look, we fixed it. We fixed it. We fixed his psychological trauma, right? We fixed his the damage that we've caused. Okay, so now the perps are walking around now, and they don't know what to do. They're very subtle in their targeting. Okay, because again, like I said, whenever it's a pattern that I've experienced over and over again. Okay, the psychological trauma over and over again that's being done, and so again, when they start using the microwave technology to microwave me, my kids, family members, significant other, and they do it in a very aggressive, blatant manner. And again, my reaction is to just, listen, I'm just going to leave that situation. Why would I remain in a situation where I'm nowhere being microwaved, and I know the purpose is to psychologically affect me in a negative way, to send me subliminal message, and so I just leave to avoid all of that. So the next day, again, they will use the police. They'll go back to their sneaky ways, okay, until the next week, or a couple of days later, they go back to the heavy-handed tactics of the psyops, okay, of the coercive persuasion. So, the one thing as a TI, especially being in this program for probably 20 years, because again, here's the police vehicle, why does he have one door open? There's nobody on the other side, and he's just sitting there. Again, he's parked up talking to another individual, but yet he has one of his door.
Yeah, let me
the one
go back to that.
As a TI, especially being in this program for probably 20 years, because again.
So, let me pause the video right here. So, this is another tactic that they do. Okay? Now, this is not the MIPD, but this is, I think it was the Downstate Medical Center police vehicle. This is the Downstate Medical Center police vehicle. Okay? So, there's only one police officer in this vehicle, and he is talking to an individual, right, on the oncoming side of the street, of the traffic, right? Yet he has his door wide open, not the driver's side, but the passenger side wide open. Okay, now does that make any sense? All right, I want you guys to think about this for a minute. Does this make any sense? He's over here talking to someone, yet he has his door open, and there's an explanation for that, and I explain it in the video. Why does he have one door open? There's nobody on the other side, and he's just sitting there. Again, he's parked up talking to another individual, but yet he has one of his door open up. Again, that's another subliminal message, because they want you to believe that you're being investigated, and I'm basically trying to use the investigation theme to try to keep you isolated. That if you interact with people, then there's an open investigation that they're going to be doing against you. But if you isolate yourself, then the investigation would be closed, right? And so they use that tactic time and time again. Okay, and I think this is the first time I'm speaking about this, because
again, I look for the patterns in things. Okay, I don't just see something and then jump to an opinion or a conclusion. Okay, so uh, when the heavy-handed targeting begins, and like I said, I kind of like remove myself out of that situation to avoid the arguments and the conflict that goes along with that. And that's what will happen the next day, right? Or even the night that I leave. Here's another vehicle, ESZ 8332, opposite side. So as I was saying, so they would use that tactic. So last night I left from Pam's house, and I was driving home, and as soon as I reached the stoplight, a block, on my way home, a police vehicle, again, with synchronization, as soon as I reached the intersection, it approached and made a turn onto the block ahead, right? And I couldn't report it because I was on the phone with my brother, explaining to him what was happening. And so, this is a tactic that they use, right? And again, it's letting me know that they are the ones that are responsible. They are the ones that are using the technology. They are the ones that are spreading the negative propaganda, negative rumors about me to the community. They are the ones that have gotten the community involved in participating in this coercive persuasion program, as well as physical assault, like poisoning my food, stuff like that, when I go out to eat. I told the story many times of IHOP, and that's why I no longer eat at IHOP, because every time I eat at IHOP, the last 3 times I've had at IHOP, I end up having getting food poisoning. Okay, and then also it started happening. I take my kids to Chuck E. Cheese, and the last time I took my kids to Chuck E. Cheese, I came out of there, and I got home and I had food poisoning. So I no longer take my children to Chuck E. Cheese. Okay, and it's because for their what I believe is for their safety, as well as my safety. And so, but again, this is a continuing tactic, and in a coercive persuasion program, they need to do this over and over again, because again, it's conditioning, right? So we look at conditioning as the repetitive things that they do to condition you, or I, or any other TI. The use of these technologies, microwave technology, silent sound, spectrum, microwave auditory effect weapon, to direct energy weapons. That's being used, okay? And it's some serious stuff. There's some serious stuff that to those who know about it and participate in it, they don't know what the damages are that is being caused, or maybe they know, they just don't care. Like lately, I'm constantly dropping things. Today, actually this morning, I was drinking tea and the cup almost dropped the cup out of my hand. Okay, and there go the bag theme again. Holding up the red bag. That's a theme that.
Yeah, let's go back and take a look at this very carefully.
This morning, I was drinking tea and the cup almost dropped the cup out of my hand.
Yeah, and that's because of the microwave and the remote neural monitoring. So it affects your nervous system, and so when it's constantly being used on you, when you're constantly being bombarded with microwave, when they activate the remote neuromonitoring implant chip, like I said, I'm constantly dropping things now. You know, excuse me. Speaking to my brother, and oh, excuse me. He was telling me that lately, when he's been sleeping, he gets up to use the bathroom, and he peed on himself. Okay, and again, that's because the same thing is being done to him. He's also told me that he's been dropping stuff a lot. Things been falling out of his hands. That's psychological damage. That's neural damage that they have done to us and are doing to us. Okay, so let's take a look at the bag theme, the red bag theme.
Okay.
So as you see, as I approach, he's going to hold the bag up.
Okay.
All right, and then he puts it down.
Holding up the red bag. That's a theme that they use time and time again, and because they want to see me isolated. That's basically what they want to see me. They want to see me isolated, so they will do whatever. It's like giving you a choice, right? So you either isolate yourself, and if you don't, then we're going to open up an investigation on you and put you in jail. Okay? So what is it that I have done that warrant this treatment? And the answer is, I have not broken any law. I have not committed any crime. This is all about experimentation and the fact that I, an experimentee of the U.S. government, decided to speak out against what was happening to me. And when I began to speak out, I began to record, because I realized that, this is just more than what these people, family members was telling me, that I had a mental illness, and because my brother had a mental illness, so now I had a mental illness and stuff like that. And, not knowing that my brother was being experimented on, and the technology was being used on me without my consent. Or anyone that's around us, the technology is going to affect and be around, because, again, the remote neural monitoring, which is a receiver transmitter microchip that's placed into the brain for the purpose of remotely monitoring your brain, your thoughts, so this is how it got to this level, because I'm sure there are other TIs who have remained silent about their target and suffer in silence, and don't get the heavy-handed targeting that I get and others get who are vocal, who are speaking out about what's happening to them. That they don't get the heavy-handed tactics. Now look at this perp just walked by the car, and she just turned around and walked back. Again, this is a tactic or an action that they do, and they do that with Pam too. They did it to her last night. I was sitting in the living room, and multiple times she came into the living room, just walked up to me, turned around, and walked back. And she only do that when she's wearing certain colors. So yesterday she was wearing a navy blue scrubs, because she was at the hospital. She was a nurse, and And I noticed whenever she wears her navy blue or her gray scrubs, those two colors in particular, uh, when we're being microwaved, that's the action in which that they have control over her movement. Okay, they're controlling her movement, they're placing the thought in her mind to do those actions, and she did it multiple times. And at that point, I was like, listen, you know what? I'm going home. Okay, because you know, I mean, you know, she comes in the house and she's like, I'm going to bed, and I'm like, okay, you're going to bed, but yet you're constantly coming in and out of the living room. For what reason? You're not saying nothing to me. You're not coming in to see how the kids are doing or what the kids are doing. You're just coming in there to just stand in front of me and then turn around and walk away. You know? And so when this happens and, you know, I start to, speak out against it, then another action that they'll do is that they will constantly take their phone out in front of me and put it back in their pocket. You know, it's like, hey, look, we have a recording, and this is what we're using. Okay. And again, that action with the green bottle in the garbage and her with the blue handbag. Again, you know, color coded, because she could have put that bottle in any garbage can that was behind me as she was walking up. Okay? But this is what they do. They will until they get close to me to either throw something on the ground, whether it be a white tissue paper, and colors. Remember, I talk about the use of colors to condition, to use a neurolinguistic programming. So the attachment of colors as a trigger and as an anchor, you know, is something that they continue to do and constantly do. Okay? So I'm going to end the video right here, and you know, when I edit the video on the computer, I'll go into more of what I was discussing. Well,
okay. So I had stopped the video, and then I started back again because I kept wondering. I'm like, okay, so she came and all of a sudden she's cleaning out her car, and I'm like, okay. As many times I've parked in this spot, I have to say, this is the first time that someone has done this. I'm not saying that, you know, people can't do that, but it all coincides with my targeting. And you see, she just kind of looked back at me because she wants to see if I'm looking at her. Okay?
Okay. They would constantly, you know, it happened all the time, and you know, I started to realize what was happening after I read a TI website.
Yeah, so I was talking about how earlier in my targeting, how they tried to use the pedophile theme using teenage girls. So whenever each day I would go out for lunch, and it didn't matter where I go. Okay, there will always be these teenage girls who will want to come and ask me questions. Who want to try to engage in conversation with me. And if I was sitting at a table, they would go to the table in front of me. They will move the chair that's directly in my sight, and they would stand in front of me with their back turned towards me. With one of them, actually, their back with that individual back towards me, and then they would just bend over and lay down on the table with their upper half of their body lying flat on the table and their rear, facing towards me. And they would do that a lot, constantly. Okay? And whenever they would engage in conversation with me, I would just ignore them. Because there was a website that I had found of this guy who was experiencing the same thing. And it was a good thing I actually found his website very early, because his website helped me out a lot. And he was talking about how to avoid teenage girls, because they use them as part of their targeting, because they're trying to use what is called the pedophilia thing. Okay, and even though you may not be interested in teenage girls, it's the perception. So they could be taking pictures of you while these teenage girls are asking you a question and you're talking back to them to create a narrative about you. That's not true. Okay? So with her, cleaning her car, bending over, that sort of thing, it kind of gave me flashbacks of what used to happen. And, from time to time, they'll still try to use the pedophilia theme. I just don't fall for it. I'm not a pedophile. I'm not interested in teenage girls. Okay?
Well, it was a blog site. And
notice how she
on his site, he talked about
looks back at me. Okay?
Well,
look at her.
It was a blog
She's looking
site.
back at me.
And
That's what I'm looking.
on his site, he talked about how they'll use teenagers, particularly if being that I'm a male TI, and they will use female teen.
Okay, so let's. Okay, so she's in her car, and then
People are spread. Will create situations, and they will do things, and they will involve other people to do things to you.
no, I want you to see the coordination and how these perps feed off of each other, because what's going to happen, right? So right now, I'm just capturing their interaction and how they use each other in sync to send me subliminal message.
In which they're creating about you, or they're saying, right? And so when they want to use the pedophilia theme, okay, you will see a lot of young women, if you're a male TI, a lot of young girls who will constantly stop you and ask you questions, or constantly stop you and want to talk to you.
Okay, let me forward. Let's speed this up a little bit.
They do, and they'll use, or if it's the police, or
Okay, let's go back a little bit there.
that narrative, right? And people will believe that, particularly when it comes from a person in an authoritative position, or if it's the police, or if it's your church pastor, your church deacon, your religious leader. Again, this is, what they do.
Okay. Okay, so
The conditioning that
she's gonna exit out of her car. The only reason why she's exiting out of the car, even though, you see her cleaning out her car, okay? But again, that's to give a false perception that, oh, I'm just cleaning up my car. So because they're not recording, so they have to make it look as if it's not what it is, right? So again, smoke and mirrors, right? Deception, doing one thing while hiding the true nature or the true agenda, right? Or the true action of what they're really trying to do.
What's done to you, Sometimes
so she comes out,
to talk.
Looks at me.
But here she goes out again because so this guy comes up. He's on the right side.
And there you go.
In my rearview mirror, he's staring at his phone. He's looking at me through the rear window of the car. She comes out now, empty water bottle in her hand. Right? So you see how she's been sitting there. And as soon as this gentleman right here, that's him.
Well, she wasn't really sitting there, but as I was doing the video, I wasn't really paying attention to her sitting there, but I did notice when she came out, and because again, as I looked through my rearview mirror, this gentleman, he had grocery bags in his hands, but he had his phone out, and he kept looking at his phone and looking at the rear window of the car, okay, and he's like walking like this with the phone in his hand, okay, phone in his hand. I have my phone in my hand. I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at the back window of the vehicle that I'm in. Okay, and I'm constantly looking at it and constantly looking at the back window, constantly. So and that was her cue to get out of the car. Okay, now what's the other perk?
Right here, as he walks up, because behind me he had his phone in his hand.
No, she's constantly looking at me. So see the other perp over here?
10 minutes before he.
Now the other perp over here, he comes.
As soon as you see him, he comes out. Empty water bottle. Again, and so you see the guy across the street here.
Right here.
Standing.
Now look what she does. And I didn't catch this, but I'm glad the video catch it.
You see the guy across the street.
She's gonna take her hands and touch her crotch. Excuse me. That's a book. That's just fell down. Okay, so
here
look.
Comes out with an empty water bottle. Again, and so you see the guy across the street.
She's gonna take her hands, put it on her crotch.
In the burgundy.
Okay. Now this guy, he's standing there. He comes out. This is all, this is three perps working together to send subliminal message. Okay. So he comes out from across the street, from the sidewalk, and he's looking at me and he's doing this. Okay.
Hoodie, has his mouth folded. Okay.
Okay, and then he walks back.
I mean, that's to tell you the level of dedication these people have to targeting you on a daily.
Yep, on a daily basis. Okay, now I talked about this before. When I'm being targeted heavily, and also, as cars were driving by and I was looking at the side mirror, people were driving in their car doing this. Okay, so because I know the pattern of the targeting, and when they start targeting me this heavy, I said to myself, you know what? Let me go on to one of the social dating sites that I still have membership on, to see if I got any messages, because that's a pattern, right? So whenever they cause conflict between Pam and I, and recently what they're doing to her too is that whenever there's a conflict between her and I, her ex, well, not really her ex, but somebody that she dated in the past, he wasn't really her ex, so she said, even though they took vacations together, they were intimate together, but according to her, he didn't claim her, so they wasn't, So I'm like, well, why are you constantly texting this dude back and forth, But again, I get into that theory another time. But anyway, so I went on to one of the, and hence the reason why I still have social media account, because of the fact that, I don't because with the technology, they can make these people do anything. Okay, and I don't trust her enough to be like, you know what? Let me close out all my account because I don't want to go through the process of having to open them back up again. And listen, as a TI, they didn't. They'll do everything to not let anyone contact you or date you, only if they want them to, only if they have an agenda set. Okay, so I went on there and I said, hey, let me see if I got any messages. Went on there, I didn't get any messages. So I start looking at, okay, let me see if there are new members. Okay, and of course they were. Okay, now I'm going to show you a picture of a person, of a female, who puts a picture on a social media site to date. If you're looking to date someone, that's not the type of picture that you would want to put up on if you're looking to date someone. That's the type of picture because there are other individuals on that site who are TIs. I may not even know it. And, also, the fact that I'm on the site, you're trying to send me subliminal messages. Okay? So, let me find that screenshot. There you go. Okay? Now, I talked about, see how the guy across the street, and he came into the street in front of the parked cars, that he folded his lips. This is exactly the thing that they do. This right here, the folding of the lips. Now, again, if you're looking to date someone on a social media site or social dating site, you wouldn't take a picture like this. You wouldn't have a picture like this up there. That's not a good look. Okay? That's not saying, hey, look at me, I'm beautiful, I'm pretty, I'm cute, what have you. You smile. Okay? You smile. And even if you don't smile, you don't smile. Okay? But you don't put a picture like this. The individual is involved in targeting. She's a perp. Okay? She is a perp. So when I saw this on her profile, I was like, oh, I gotta show this. Okay? Because again, everything works in tandem to how they target me. Okay? This is what they do. Alright? I'm not making this up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to generally show you how they use, with the use of the microwave technology, okay, and the use of civilian perpetrators, how things play it out on a daily basis when it comes to my targeting. What are the things that they do? What are the things that they do? What are the things that they're doing? What are the tactics that they're using? How the police departments are involved. They use the fire department. They use emergency vehicles, ambulances. Okay? They use buses. Like I said, that it was a video that I did where I was driving Pam to work, and I usually take West Prospect Park Parkway to take her to her job, and I started noticing the bus had the letters CIA, right? But at first I didn't think about it, until I started seeing it. Because at first you don't notice it, but as you repeat it over and over and over, eventually you'll begin to notice it. So it had the word CIA on it. Now it's the bus route goes to Coney Island Avenue. So, but it had the three letters CIA, one after each other. Okay? And when I start to record it, right? All of a sudden, they change it to CIAVE. Okay? I mean, again, just giving an example of how they send subliminal messages. And we all know the CIA was very heavy into mind control experiments, also the creation of mind control technologies, such as the silent sound spread spectrum, microwave auditory effect weapon, HARP, okay, as well as voice to skull, and their bone conduction, the transmission of sound that you don't hear with your ears, or with your, it doesn't come from the outside, but it comes from within your body, right? Through the bone resonance. Okay, if I'm saying that correctly. For example, they had ads where if you put your hands on a glass window, you actually hear advertising internally in your mind. Okay? So again, there's a lot of technology that's being developed and have been developed that people are completely oblivious to. Okay? And like I said before, when it comes to the US government, they're at least 10 to 15 years ahead of the public sector. Okay, so they have stuff and shit that you'll find out about in the next 10 years. They already have it now. Okay? All right, so I'll see you guys on my next video, and I hope again I'm able to explain what is happening, how it's being done, and can't think of anything right now, but see you guys in the next video.